figure if we can keep it rolling, and I took the financial stuff for the fire departments off the agenda. I figured if we could just focus on this and get this in place to put the opening out on Friday, we were in really good shape.
Okay.
So if that works for you, that's what we'll focus on. Screen.
I am. I took another job. COVID forced me to, I was basically using real estate as like secondary income. And I had to change that because the auctions have just, COVID and number of people that can be there, and it's just volume starting to come back, but it's just still not there. So, and it is just requiring, so much more time for me that I'm just not used to giving. So like for me today, I came straight from there.
Oh, looks like Josh is joining us virtually this evening.
Let me get a water.
So you got a lot going on too.
Oh, it's good. I'm grateful.
Good. That looks an awful lot like work, Mr. Hummel. Not a
It
lot like
absolutely
home.
is. It absolutely is. Where else would I be?
Here, of course.
Right. I got done burning in Frederick at I don't know what time, so that didn't happen.
Understood.
I tried, didn't happen.
No worries. It's good. It means I get this whole table to myself and I can spread all my million papers out everywhere.
I'll keep myself muted because out in the bay, right below my office, they're doing a Fire One class that's going to be practicing SCBA donning tonight. I didn't think they were here, but they are. Yeah, and a lot of yelling. Yeah, not much instruction, lots of yelling. It's humorous to watch.
Nice.
It's amazing they have anybody pass.
Oh my. Oh. Screen sharing for. You have names and or topics or questions for me there, Sunshine?
I already read the documents and it said I could send additional ones by the middle of November.
I love you, Josh.
I'm gonna elect for that option. I have really good intentions, always.
Did you look at the list that I sent?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought good overall. Yeah, I don't know. We didn't define like a number of people, did we?
We did not. We discussed 3 to 5.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Minutes, but. Good evening, Mr. Irwin. Just Beachy, how you doing?
Good.
Thank you for being here this evening.
Glad to be here.
I understand you guys had a busy day.
We didn't.
Building, dwelling.
The other two did.
Okay.
But you're busy now. Is it an actual structure fire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tis the season for furnace malfunctions.
That is true.
I'm supposed to talk to you about CARES?
Yes. Kenny said you got denied?
I could have told you that.
Why did you get denied? Everybody else got theirs, no question. Why did you get denied?
Because I put in for staff.
But it's covered. Emergency services salary is covered,
Invoices from, specifically from the time that city was not allowing
right?
their people to volunteer, which left us with
Right,
just even more justifier.
right.
But you
Okay.
know who was doing the evaluations for Lancaster
No. I mean, other than this, the city budget guy.
County, state,
Oh, he told me county money.
county money. Haven't heard back, but I don't think that's gonna be.
Okay, so you put in for your 15, okay. That I have no control over. No, who's doing it for the state?
Well, the Lancaster County evaluators were Canadians. Actually, Dwayne.
Really? Interesting.
Got my last text.
Yes,
So
The
Dwayne
repair
from
and the-
Benham Township?
barricade.
That must have been pretty ugly.
Dwayne Hagelgans from Blue Rock.
From, yeah, from,
It was, they took out more than half the barricade.
And he denied it.
No, no one died today.
Trucks?
No, obliterated.
had to put in, and then there was.
Yes, it was a welding truck with a full tank of acetylene
Oh, my God.
and a fuel tank on it.
Okay.
And thankfully,
Took out the-
People that were doing the evaluations that I saw
Yes.
was Dwayne Hagelgans, who's.
Well, I would have had time to return the vehicle over to Subaru, but I got permission to keep it, so.
Okay.
So
I'm
not
the
sure
favorite
why.
driver, I can do anything.
there you go. I wondered if that's why you were headed over there.
End of last week, I just went on.
I got back in 3.5.
Website was going out through.
I told you.
Driving 80.
He resubmitted.
Well, that's only 10 over.
All right,
I was
now
following another guy.
Uh-huh.
He got nailed.
Oh, jeez.
Is there
And
anything
he
we
was,
can
he was
do?
over 80 because we came down the grade. He got frustrated with the truck and went around it, and then I think he logged it. It took a long
Gotcha.
time.
Oh, my.
But I had 3 today.
3.
Half an hour hold up this morning, and then I missed the exit for the turnpike in Carlisle. On the phone. And then I had this, so it comes to 3.
Oh, my gosh.
I can go rob a bank tonight, I'm fine.
Oh, my. All right.
Hello, Scott.
I'm doing good, Bill. How are you doing?
Oh, just wonderful.
There we go.
You're stuck with me.
I was tired.
You there all day?
Okay.
We were 3 times today. 18 vehicles for 10 hours.
Why?
Because people don't know how to drive.
You ought to see the traffic on
Is there
30
something
now.
with
It
the
is backed up.
construction being
Glad I
marked?
came the back way.
Well, I came in Landis
I
for
think there had to
weird.
be a.
Yep, that's how I came.
And
guy
Mark
this
was telling us a
morning-
little bit about it.
I think fell asleep, the first one.
Okay.
There were
The
3
second
accidents out
accident,
there.
somebody cut the tractor trailer off.
Oh,
And the
Dang.
third one, there was backup from the lane closures and they failed to merge successfully.
Initial access was westbound, and the second.
To the right.
Later was eastbound. And then PennDOT closed the 2 middle lanes to fix the Jersey barrier from the first. And that caused the third one with 2 vehicles and a tractor trailer this afternoon.
And that's what I was getting at.
So right now, they have as well.
When's the tone gonna go off this time?
Give it time.
Lane should reopen by midnight, Mark. And
Yep.
Josh. So. Other Josh, not you, Hummel. Amber.
Hey, what, this weather's nice. I hope it continues. Go on, yes. Go extra Jeremy.
Just a precaution.
Chiefs, before we start the meeting, are you aware of any black SUVs that your members drive with a blue light and a siren that would have been traveling through East Petersburg Borough en route to the second auto accident today? I mean, I would assume not, since you can't have a blue light and a siren. But apparently a black SUV with a blue light and a siren during the time that departments were responding to the second accident went through the borough. So, I mean, again,
Is Hirschquitz coming from Mannheim? But it's red, they'd be red.
he shouldn't have blue either.
Oh, it's red, and there's no way to tell it's not red. There are so many lights on that thing.
Yeah, we have a guy with blue lights and a black SUV. He does not have a siren, nor was he on any of the calls today.
Okay.
So,
I chalked it up to siren and blue light, black SUV, but just keep in mind, especially your two departments, since you're the ones with blue lighters, to just keep an eye on that and make sure that we don't have anybody making poor choice.
we pass it along. I don't know.
Yeah,
That could have been from our, that being said, for the second accident, we had fire police from 76, 75, and I don't know where else.
yeah, I don't know where else either, but
There were a
yeah,
lot of fire police involved in that,
that is true.
so yeah.
Okay. Yep.
All right, well, it's 7 o'clock, so
Craig,
we're
is
gonna
Billy
get
coming?
started.
He's not. Okay.
You would please rise with me for a moment of silence, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Now the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'd like to just start off, Diana and I were talking a little bit earlier. We have committed to getting the agenda and the documents out early. And we failed on that account this week. We're aware of that. They will be going out the week prior. We just had a hectic week. Nothing really heavy on the agenda that I don't think anybody expected, so that's one good thing for today. But you can expect to get those the week before going forward. So up first on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. Everybody take a minute to review them. Are there any questions, any changes, corrections? So you want to see the minutes reflect Billy's comments on which areas?
HR, which then puts us into the clarifications of what the, because I didn't know what certifications are.
So are you under 4, under the job description? Are you, like, when we look at the minutes, are you under section 4 for the job description? Where are you at on here as part of the discussion?
Well, it was about, when I reviewed discussing HR, I had those questions, like if any of the certifications have HR. And then Ed had asked about the better terminology of the around the job description. I know it was very early. Right around 22 minutes in.
Okay, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we table it? Why don't you bring back the specific additions to the minutes you would like to have us to add to that at the next meeting? And we can get it incorporated. So whatever the addition is that you want, so for right now, we can table this. There's nothing urgent to approve them. So there's no urgency to approve the minutes. So why don't we, I'm going to put it back to you and ask you if you could bring it back to us with the additions that you want in there for our next meeting. And we can get both September and October's.
It's shut off. There's a button right on the top, gray button. Just hold it in and it'll light up. Just so Josh can hear you better on Zoom.
Did she say that I asked for clarification?
Yeah, I think if I understand correctly.
22 minutes into the meeting, discussing it, and about having, you know, that you feel as well that for better terminology of the certification, the breakdown, like whatever certification. Those were my concerns because I didn't know what they were, what each class stands for.
And part, I guess it was the anachronisms that refer to different types of training and things that you were looking for clarifications to what they meant. And maybe I said also, I don't recall specifically, but I may have asked very well that it'd be helpful to have that. Okay. Okay, now we're zeroing in on it. Okay.
So do you want me to send that to Diane and Cindy?
That would be great, and then they can make those additions, and we can send them out next time. Make sure that they're reflect what it is you're talking about, and then we can approve them at the next meeting. Were there any other additions or corrections? Okay, can I have a motion to table the minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. LaFever, is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fouts. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries unanimously. Well, anyone opposed? Excuse me. Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. The chief fire official, we had discussion on that. East Petersburg was going to take that back to their board. Do we have an update?
We approved it
Okay.
with one small verbiage change. And I see in what's on our tablets tonight, doesn't have that change in it yet. It was down in skills, knowledge, and abilities in the second paragraph.
You are correct. How'd I manage that one? Oh, because I pulled the file from the last meeting
Okay.
instead of pulling the one that's in Cindy's
Yeah.
file. So yes, you're correct. This one still shows township instead of municipalities.
It just talks about they're able
Yep.
to operate a vehicle in the township, and we just thought it'd be more appropriate to change the word township and municipalities. I don't believe that was the only small thing that suggestion we had on it.
That was it, just that.
Okay.
And I think it was just so it referred to municipalities instead of townships throughout the document.
I think that was the only one there was when I went through
Yeah, I
and
believe
reviewed it.
so.
I think that was the only place that it
And where
specified.
is that on, is that on?
It is in skills, knowledge, and abilities in the second paragraph, right there where it's highlighted about halfway through the, oh. You can't really see it highlighted up there.
Okay.
It's right here. Serving the township. You see my cursor?
Now I do. Okay, yes. Got it. Okay. So that's going to be changed. to
Correct.
municipalities.
It is changed in Cindy's current file.
Okay.
But yes.
Is there any other discussion on this item? Okay. Well, then can we have a motion to approve this from our board here? And this will set in motion the hiring process going forward. So before we do that, can you just quickly highlight the timeline? I know you have it here on the
Yep.
agenda real quick. What's going to
Yep.
happen?
So if you look at agenda item number 3, letter C, the timeline was modified from the previous month's agenda to show now with both municipalities approving the job description, the job will be posted this Friday, October 23rd. Remains open for 3 weeks, as was previously discussed, within the application period ending on November 13th. It was discussed at the previous meeting that the different organizations would bring back suggestions, topics, and questions for the panel of interviews, as well as any subject matter expert suggestions. I did not receive any of those for this meeting, so I kept that on the timeline as being finalized by the November 17th meeting. And then it would be the goal to review those applicants and have those panel interviews scheduled between November 13th, when the application period ends, and the December commission meeting. In reviewing that timeline, Cindy and I recognize that it is 2 weeks shorter than it was previously because we've backed things up 2 weeks. And so wondered if the commission would want to consider moving the meeting back a week to December 22nd. That would allow an extra week of give time in there with the 3 days for the Thanksgiving holiday and those pieces, just giving us an extra few days of give in there to be able to accomplish both sets of panel interviews prior to the meeting in December. That would allow us then, as a commission, to make a recommendation to the municipalities for their first January meeting so that the person can be offered, background checked, and hired before the end of January.
A question, when you're saying both sets of panel interviews, you're talking about the panel and then
The sub,
the
correct.
departments.
The subject matter expert panel and then the commission local level panel, correct?
Thank
Yep.
you.
Mhm.
Diane, I have a
Yes.
question. Who picked the subject matter expert panel?
It hasn't been picked yet.
Okay,
All the
so-
organizations were asked to provide feedback for this meeting. That's the feedback that I received that's on the list that was added.
Okay,
Expecting more feedback on positive or negative on those people, as well as any additions
okay,
to then be finalized by the commission.
okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So, and bottom line is this has to be, if you want any new people on that list, or if you have a problem with somebody on that list, that information needs to get to Diane by November 13th.
Yeah, at the absolute
I
latest. so
really,
that we
really
can-
want to highlight that. So we don't want to get to the November meeting and say, wait, I want so-and-so on this panel. So-
Did each fire department put in a suggestion on these people?
No, these are people that are known locally, have been recommended by other people throughout our process, people that are known to the township and others. I have received no feedback from either municipality or any of the 3 fire companies or the citizen reps on any of the things that were requested.
In our minutes,
Mhm.
work together on creating. No?
It was asked that there would be suggestions provided and we would review it and create a list to bring back to the commission. But no suggestions were provided. Correct. No suggestions were provided.
And you want this by November 13th?
Correct,
Correct, okay.
because we need to set the panel in place on the 17th so that once we have the interviewees in place, we can also have the panel in place. Because we'll have to ask the panel members to participate and give them time prior to setting that interview panel.
Okay.
And we've got 4 or 5, if we shift the meeting weeks in there with the holiday, to try to set those panel interviews up.
All right.
How
fair
many
enough.
people are you looking to have on the panel?
I believe the discussion previously was 3 to 5 people
Okay.
on that subject matter expert panel.
No, that's not my understanding.
No, these are people, again, that as we've gone through this process over the last several years, have been brought up as subject matter experts in the region, in the county, in the area. They're known to people within,
Correct. And they don't have to be the final 3 or 5. We have to start somewhere.
Mhm.
But if there's somebody that you want on that list, get them on the list, is what we're saying. Let's not,
Hey, Mark, if you guys have anybody, be sure you get those names to Karen. Please.
I'm going to suggest one right now. And you, ladies and gentlemen, know more of these people than I do. I mean, I recognize 2 names on here, but that's about it. But how about Dwayne Ober? I mean, he already has one of these positions basically in the county. And I'm asking you people, do you think he'd be a good guy to put on this?
the thing that we want to be careful of is not asking anyone to be a panelist who would also be an applicant. So anyone who would potentially want to apply for the job, we want to ensure that we're not putting
We'd
them in a
have to
position
probably-
where they have to choose whether or not to indicate that they want to apply by indicating it being a panelist. Just,
Right. But if in fact he would apply, then he would be disqualified. But I just talked to the gentleman once or twice. He seems like a pretty good guy. He does have experience in this position. So I personally would think it's a good idea to at least put him on the list.
yeah, we
You know,
can put them on the
like I
list.
said, I'm looking for what you guys think of him too. I mean,
Oh, that could be a question though that we can ask them. Are you wanting to apply for this position prior to them being on our panel?
yeah, I'm just throwing another name out because,
Correct?
sure. Oh, yeah.
Know
no
until
doubt
you
about it.
ask. You don't know until you ask them.
Yeah, I mean, that would be an optimal time to
Mhm.
sit there and ask that question.
Yeah, I'd put his name on the list because I think he's fairly well respected. He does know the county fire service, and he's in this position with Warwick, I believe, at this point.
He's also the deputy emergency management coordinator for both municipalities on the commission.
Yeah, so I'd like to see his name on the list. The only other question I got for this is, okay, we have this panel, look at these names, I know nobody. Are these people doing this for free, or do we have a budget for this?
It is budgeted in East Hempfield's township budget
Well,
for this process.
okay, so obviously we're paying 20% of that.
No, it was not included in the emergency services coordinator's budget. It's a separate line item in East Hempfield Township.
So we're not, East Petersburg is not paying 1 cent for this at all?
It is not included in the agreement that's in place for the sharing of the funds that are in place. It's a separate line item.
Okay,
So
heck of a deal.
Hmm.
to be seen. Yeah, it sounds like a heck of a deal. I'm just kind of surprised, that's all. And I don't know how this usually works. I mean, is Amico and Marchola still in town?
Amico lives in Florida. He does come back to visit, but he does live in Florida.
Yeah, and I don't know anybody else, but
Yeah.
that was my only other question, but I'd like to see Dwayne Ober's name put on there.
What about, I think, is it Randy Gockley? The guy was,
Previously, the EMA coordinator for the
Yeah.
county. We can put him on the list.
He's kind of retired at this point, though. I think Randy's probably my age.
He is, that's correct,
He's old.
and has not been involved in the fire service for a while.
Oh, no, he's still actively, yeah, he's still actively running and consulting for emergency planning.
here again, you don't know until you ask them.
We can add him to the list.
Then the game plan to get a list of people and then kind of narrow it down to the 3 to 5 that you
Yes.
ultimately want to
Yeah,
have.
I'm assuming some of these people wouldn't even be interested. I don't know, but.
Yeah.
But I mean, this guy from Harrisonburg, Virginia, I mean, you're gonna,
So he is a local guy. Don Schenberger taught him how to be a firefighter. He is very actively involved in the local fire service
Really?
still and in teaching.
Cool.
He is the coordinator for the National Fallen Firefighter weekend. And he and his wife regularly come back to the area, and he actually has indicated interest in the past in being involved in our
Good, great.
process. So
So you will reach out to each of these individuals and just inquire their interest?
yes, Cindy and Karen and I will sit down and review the
Okay.
list and sort through that process. Billy Nonamaker has recommended that Sue Warcola be removed from the list, indicating personal experience as an employee and recommending she be removed from the list. So
So
you can cross her off your list,
I think everybody should have. a good
unless somebody's
appreci-
against crossing her off the list, but.
We have a good appreciation of what's going to take place after we take up this motion. But before we did, I just wanted to make sure everybody realized that we are triggering the hiring process. Those names will obviously be added to the list now. If there are more names to be added, again, they need to be added by the 13th. So we're going to go back right now to item 3A, the job description. There's action needed on this. Do I have a motion to approve the chief fire official job description and post the vacancy to local, regional, state, and professional job boards?
So moved.
Motion by Craig Irwin. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Cohen. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, so we got into B already, or B1 anyway. B2, subject topics and questions. I think Diane included that in its.
Yeah, so when I went to attach it, there was only one thing on the list, so I didn't even put it on there. And it was what we had discussed 2 meetings ago as far as having volunteer fire department HR topics in there.
Okay.
So my apologies that it shows as C attached because I didn't attach it.
So again, you need those questions, right, by November 13th.
Yep. Preferably, especially those before, so that we can tweak those and
Right.
take topics and create questions so that those
And
can be
that-
reviewed.
And that's the 3 of you that are going to,
Yep.
to tweak that, right? So it'll be you, Cindy, and Karen
Yep.
that compile those questions and sift through them, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And if I understood you correctly, you need them before the 13th. Can we give an actual date so that we,
13th of Friday, Friday the 13th.
Maybe the Monday of that week, 13, 12, 11, 10, maybe the 9th. That would give me us a week to compile it and get it into a format that can be used for the meeting, if that's acceptable.
okay, so just to recap, what we're asking for is we have questions for the panel interviews that we're going to give those to Cindy, Diane, and Karen to sift through and review, and we'd like to have that to them by November 9th.
Chairman, point of order, there's a reference to an expert panelist attached, and I don't have it. I don't know that anybody has it.
It was attached to
Yeah.
the
Oh, it's
email in
there,
all
and
the
I
files.
don't have my laptop because I
Yep.
came in short. Okay.
It is
Thank you.
here. Yep, I can put it up here for you. That's why I put all the documents in here. Ooh.
I can see it. Thank you.
By November 9th, you want what?
It's item 3B2
There you go,
on
Ed.
on your agenda. So it would be,
Oh, okay, that's what, we're still on that. Okay.
right. So if we can have that by November 9th, and then Karen, Diane, and Cindy are going to compile that, review it, clean it up, sift through it, and have questions to provide for the panel interviews. Okay. Everybody good with that? Okay. The timeline we went over. Does anybody have any questions? That's item number C, or excuse me, 3C on the agenda. Any questions about the timeline at this point?
You have any questions on that part?
Clear.
So when are you planning on doing like the town hall meetings with the finalist candidates at each department?
Between November 17th, when the commission finalizes the panelists and the subject for the discussions, and December 22nd or 15th, whichever date we choose for the meeting for December. Which is why I suggested that we potentially move the meeting back a week to allow us that extra few days in there to be able to get everything lined up and in place for those processes to happen. So we do need a decision on that, Mr. Chair.
Is there discussion on that item? The 22nd, is there any conflicts?
Won't show anything. Good for East Pete.
Yeah.
Guys, good?
It's good for East
Yeah.
Petersburg.
What did we just talk about last night? It was it the 22nd or the 21st we talked about a meeting?
21st is Monday,
Okay.
22nd is Tuesday.
Okay. I don't think we need a motion, but is everybody in agreement? Can I see like a nod of heads that we're going to move that meeting to the 22nd? Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Okay, there was also a little bit of work done by the fire departments, I guess, some inventory and what they're able to provide. And Diane has that up on the screen now.
So you had requested at the last meeting that the fire companies provide, ooh, that's a little big, further information on what equipment they might be able to help supply for the incoming chief fire official. And it does not show well up there on the screen. But East Petersburg Fire Company indicated that they would have a Halligan and traffic cones and potentially a bag, not supplies, but a medical bag that they could provide, as well as potentially other minor things to go with the fire gear. And Rohrstown Fire Company indicated that at this time they have SCBA available that could be used for the fire chief as well as a face piece. So those are the indications so far as to equipment that, again, is potentially available in 3 months when we get this guy on board, that would hopefully decrease costs for that initial upfitting. Those sets of equipment were discussed with the membership and approved by the two fire companies. So those should be available when we get that position filled. There was also discussion with the chiefs at their meeting last night that there will be potential purchases of gloves, hoods, et cetera, between now and when that person would be hired, and that those could potentially be purchased as a part of that group purchase so that they would be cheaper and would be available at that time. So that's the discussion that has occurred since the previous meeting. Correct. So the fire departments each have gear that has been used by someone else but is still in date and not expired. So potentially when this person comes on, we would be able to find appropriately sized used gear at the three fire companies that would allow him to get started right away. He will need his own custom fitted gear. All fire gear is custom fitted. Yep, it is. But it will also take weeks for that to get here. So if we can get him outfitted between the three departments with used coat and pants and boots, then that allows him to get actively involved in the fire scenes much more quickly. Yep.
I think one of the comments in that, Diane, the last meeting was they probably wouldn't purchase any of the turnout gear until after his probationary period. I think maybe Billy brought that up.
So, and that, I mean, that would be fine. as long as we have something for him to wear. But if we have nothing that fits him, he can't be a fire chief without gear to be on the scene and be properly outfitted.
Understood.
So, but yeah, yep.
The only question I got, looking down through here, the pickup truck, $7,000 to lease a truck for a year?
That's what our current fleet lease is through Enterprise for the quad cab 4-wheel drive pickup truck that was quoted.
So it's going to cost us like, you know, I'm not real familiar with leases,
Mhm.
but it's going to cost us $7,000 every year to have a truck?
Again, I have not been involved in that fleet process. I know that it's all contracted and all laid out per year. Scott, do you have any recollection from those board discussions as to, for the fleet leasing of vehicles?
You know, let's put it down. Again, Bill will look into it and get back to you.
Yeah, I'd like to, you know, it would almost seem to me, and I want to see what it costs down the road also, but to outright buy something compared to $7,000 a year?
Is it just a
Well, I'm sure
pickup
there's-
stripped down, or is there equipment in there that's specific to the need?
Well, now, if you look at the next line, you're talking radio lights is another $8,000. So we're just talking a 4-wheel drive from what I'm seeing, F-250 pickup truck.
Right, so the original cost for the pickup truck was approximately, I think, $65,000 listed on the original budget.
I mean, at 7,000, you're looking at like a $600 lease payment. I mean, it doesn't seem to me to be out of line for a new vehicle, but
I don't know, I buy them when I'm not used to this lease stuff myself. I'm just asking, I'm just bringing it up, just seeing when I saw it, figure,
That's what our fleet services advised was the appropriate number to include in the budget for 2021. So
so far we've been happy with Enterprise and what they're doing. So what are we, we're in our second year and a half with them.
yes,
So with the fleet management and, you know, the way they do the trade-ins and stuff, they optimize the equity that we have in the vehicles. And I don't know, it's worked out real well for us. I think it's
when you say fleet management, what's that?
well, Enterprise basically manages all of our vehicles. So they tell us when we should trade them in, when we should sell them, when it's optimal to sell them, when to
No maintenance
purchase
or anything
them.
like that?
no, we have our own shop that does our internal
Right.
maintenance.
Does that still gets us an SSV?
That is a quad cab 4-wheel drive. It's exactly what Dwayne Over has. So I don't,
You are going
It's
to
what
pay
I-
more in upfitting then?
say that again?
You're going to pay more in upfitting if it's not an EV prepped vehicle?
It is,
If it's not
has the
SSV
rubber
rated?
floors and it has all the things in place so that they don't have to drill all the extra holes and all the things.
Battery.
Yes.
Just curious,
Then it is SSV.
why such a big, heavy-duty vehicle?
Because number one, the equipment needs to be stored outside of the passenger compartment. Number two, it needs to be able to go into the farm fields and all of the other places to be able to set up the command structure. And number three, because the roads around here suck in the wintertime and all-wheel drive does not get you anywhere in some of the back corners of the north end of the township, which the fire department can equate to. And it also then allows him to transport equipment between the 3 different firehouses without having to take a squad or other piece of equipment from the firehouse, and allows him to transport personnel in that same vehicle.
Okay, I just envisioned more Tahoe or something like that, but like the departments have, so.
The next vehicle we get will probably be a pickup truck. The days of storing gear in the same compartment as you're sitting probably over.
Okay,
Yeah, we've already said our next duty vehicle will be pickups.
okay.
So, yeah, that was my question. Bill, do you still want us to get you more specifics on that? Was that,
What does everybody else think? I mean, the figure jumped out at me.
You divide that number by 12, and that's your monthly cost?
The 7,000, yeah, that comes about
Correct.
almost $600 a month,
well, it's actually a little less than 6, right?
like 583.
I can ask Cindy to pull the document we have on the current pickup truck that we have that shows some of those numbers, and we can provide that to Karen. And
I mean, if there's a more
Helpful to you to
inexpensive
review.
way to upfit, find what we need and upfit it, I'm all for it. So,
Just kind of, is this his everyday vehicle?
this is take-home vehicle for the chief to operate out of 24/7.
Wow. I mean, it just seems to me it's going to be, I understand the reasoning behind it, but it seems to be it's going to be somewhat limited use. Just to travel back, how many times a week is he going to use it for a fire call? Other than traveling back and forth to the office and this, that, and the other thing. I don't know, it just seems to be a lot of vehicle for the use it's going to have.
Hey, would you use it, what, 5 times? I mean, we use our Tahoes all the time. And, we're constantly driving them in fields. I mean, Don doesn't like it when we get them dirty, but we don't have to do. We're driving them in the shoulders off the side of the road. They drive through debris,
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know, John, that it's an out of the line kind of vehicle.
okay.
Now, how long is it typical that they have? Or do you renew them?
Yeah, so the way our enterprise fleet contract is set up, they actually create a multi-year plan that lays out the value of the vehicle when it hits the point of depreciating beyond value. And they have it laid out the whole way through for every single vehicle, which year they get switched out for new. And the cost savings was in the hundreds of thousand, over $100,000 when they laid it out for the board for the 5 years, I think they laid it out.
On average, how long have you guys?
Well, we've had them for a year and a half. So
some of
they've,
it depends on mileage as well.
yeah, the police cars get switched out at a specific mileage and/or engine hour. There's all different categories for all different types of vehicles. The Jeeps are different from the sedans, are different from the detectives' vehicles, are different from public works.
Do they take into account the upfitting cost on those vehicles?
Yes, the upfitting is actually part of the lease.
Oh, okay.
So it actually, that $8,000 number potentially would be like half of that, and then the rest would go into lease payments in future years. It's not a process that we've done outside of police cars, so it's not currently in place for us to be able to modify that $8,000 number. But yes, they actually work directly with the upfitter and do the whole vehicle from them to the upfitter and the whole process. So. Pretty nice gig, actually. And then, yeah, I will ask Cindy what specifics she can provide you guys on how that process works.
Okay, so under item 4, the only thing, Cindy's going to provide specifics on the lease, and who is that going to?
Well, I can provide it to Karen and she
Yes.
can disseminate it
Send it to me.
as they need it.
Can't that just be sent to everybody as a group? I mean, everybody on the mailing list?
Yeah, we can do that.
You know, why don't we just do that so everybody's got the same information?
That could provide anticipated years of service and/or miles, that kind of thing. We could get a feeling. And if
Yeah,
it's a
and it'll
refitting
be,
of the equipment.
it'll be different than any of the other vehicles we currently have, other than potentially mine, looking at the use and function of it. Maybe we could compare Perry's. It's not currently in our, well, it's now been added to the lease plan, but it wasn't previously in the lease plan. And since we don't know what as John said, we don't know how many calls he's going to respond to in a day like today. It could really suck and tomorrow could be dead. But she should at least be able to work with them and get some general idea of what that looks like. So we'll work through that and see what we can get.
Anything under old business? Discuss.
I don't know, do we have a grasp on what the actual costs for this are gonna be? Seems like it's been a little bit of a moving target. Not this,
For,
the overall cost for the chief fire official.
yes.
You were provided
Yes,
to
that was
Karen
sent
by
over.
the finance
sent over.
director.
But we haven't really looked at it or anything yet.
At our budget meeting. But yeah, I have that information.
But we haven't approved it yet.
No, we have not
Okay,
approved it
all
yet.
righty. It just seemed like it was a moving target. There was like 3 different salaries out there and it was like 65, 75, 85, and it was just kind of like all over the place there for a while.
I think we left that we were looking for an applicant to give us an anticipated number that we could respond to.
No, understood
How
that,
we resolved it.
but it's still, you gotta be able to budget for a certain cost.
Well, I
And you
think
would
what
tend to
we-
want to budget for a lower cost than a higher cost.
Well, actually, we kind of do it the opposite. We want to come in way under budget if we can, but we plan for the worst case scenario.
Mhm.
And there may be a decision as to whether qualifications warrant a certain salary level that we would expect a certain return. So it's just like business. It is business.
Well, I guess I just don't feel that our council has anything really to look at and approve.
I don't know at this point what more we can give you.
Yeah,
No.
you'll be looking at that at budget meeting.
Okay.
But Cindy and I and the finance director sat down and created the absolute best grasp we could. It's laid out in a spreadsheet, item by item, for you guys to look at for your portion of the budget. That is as close as we can get to what is realistic, again, with a brand new position that's not in place yet.
Okay.
You have that, right, Karen?
Yes, I
You've-
do.
Okay.
We just we haven't gotten to the point where we spent any time to really look at it in detail yet.
Okay, anything else?
We just got something under new business, but that's it.
All right, well, let's move to new business then. What do you got for us, Bill?
Okay, just, we're talking about suggested topics and questions for the panel interviews. Now, I'm way out of this. I've been out of fire service for 25 years. I expect you guys to really come up with some really good stuff, because we're looking at you guys. You guys know, Diane, you're familiar, you people, we're really going to be depend on you to come up with some good questions and stuff for the interviews. Like I said, I can sit there and listen, but I'm so far out of it, I wouldn't know what to ask. So, you know, we want some really good stuff from you people.
No problem. Working on it.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. It's just, I just want you guys to know my perspective that, you know, I'm gonna be listening a lot, and I'm gonna be listening to you people a lot. So
I mean, I think the questions I would have would just be like real general questions.
well, that's it. I mean, I don't want to badger the guy and show my stupidity. It's like, I want you guys to really come up with some good stuff.
I think one of the things is like, what's this individual's vision for his role? And how is he going to interact with everybody? Things like that.
Well, one thing that they discussed earlier is
Yeah.
we need to put all of our questions down.
Yep.
And that way Diane, Cindy, and I can go through them and everything.
Understood.
That's all I have. I just want to make that position clear.
Thanks, Bill. Did Josh have anything online?
Amal, you got anything you want to input on?
I do not.
Okay. Thanks for joining us from work in Maryland tonight.
Do we have any public comment?
Mr. Jeffrey Mosman, any public comment?
Okay. Well, before we adjourn, I just want to reiterate, the 9th, we need the questions to go to Diane. And by the 13th, any people that you want to have considered on that list need to be done. So that's our homework for when we get back together next time. So, and this is going to move the process forward, which is a good thing. I'm grateful for that. We're moving ahead, and that's a good thing. All right. If there's nothing else, can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, motion by Mr. Fouts, second by Mr. LaFever. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So, and again, thank you guys for your work today. I know it's been a long day for you. So, and then coming out here to, for this, so thank you.
Tammy, you said 22 minutes in the YouTube video at 22 minutes. Okay, I'll go back. I'll go in and see what I can.
Okay, yeah, and it's just, I mean, I just wanted to document, so if I need to go back and go back.
Yep.
But it was, and I know that he mentioned it, you know, that will.
Yeah. Yep, I can email out the list from the different certifying agencies on what topics are included in those classes. That's not a problem. Yep. Something that these guys all know that you don't know. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nope, I got my notes here. I'm good to go. Yep.
All right, taken care of. All right, great. Thank you, you too.
Thank you, Josh.
What do we have on our agenda for tomorrow? Do you know? I didn't even look at it yet.
Yeah, well, the one thing that caught my attention is the taking of the property on Centerville Road. I put a call.
Hummel,
to
you good?
John Beck,
All right,
he just returned the call. I wonder